Welcome to Greer's Rod Shop. I'm Trey. I've got the Mustang completely disassembled, all the parts bagged and tagged, and I can see all of the rust areas on the car. So what's the plan? Come on in and let's talk about where this project's going to go next. Here are some pictures of all the rusty areas in the car. The rust is mostly just sheet metal in the rear, but the inner apron behind the battery tray is completely rusted through, and the driver's frame rail below the apron is rotten as well. It appears that some of the bottom of the strut tower where the frame rail meets it is also pretty rusty. This is a common problem with these Foxbodies, and it looks like mine might be suffering on this side a little bit as well. Looks like the radiator core where it meets the front frame rail is also rusted. At this point, I have to consider how much work is involved in fixing these various areas, especially the front frame rail, and then decide how to proceed. There are two options here that I can see. First option would be to scrap this body completely because of the rust and look for another Mustang that's in good condition, maybe one that has no drivetrain, maybe a 4-cylinder car that's got good paint and it's cheap. And then I could swap in my V8 stuff, the manual transmission, that kind of thing. This would get me back on the road faster than fixing this car. The other option I have would be to tackle the rust and fully restore this car. It would take more money, it'd take more time to do this, a lot more work. But I think that's what I'm going to do because that route will be more challenging. I've never done some of these complicated repairs before, and I'm having a good time doing it, and I don't have a deadline for finishing, so I think I'm going to go for it. Since I now have decided to restore this car, I formulated a plan of what I want to do with it. I want a few more horsepower than stock because more horsepower is always better. Maybe something in the 300 to 400 horsepower range, which should be plenty of fun for daily street driving. I also want to improve the suspension for better handling, convert to a 5-lug discs front and rear, and I'm going to swap the automatic transmission for a manual. I started scouring Facebook and Craigslist for some parts to go with these goals, and I found a real 93 Cobra intake. I found some long tube headers, and then my friend Charlie Ray has some recently refreshed GT40P heads that I bought from him, and that will all go to helping my horsepower goals. My big find was on Craigslist. I found a complete 98 Mustang GT that I could get every part I needed for the 5-lug disc brake conversion. I hauled it home and I took off the spindles and brakes from the front. I took the entire rear axle out of the car. I also kept the rear upper and lower control arms from the donor car since they were in much better condition than mine. The coolest part of the donor car was that I almost broke even on the purchase price of the car. I sold the motor, I sold the transmission, I sold the catalytic converters to the recycling place, and then a fella wanted the whole rest of the car, so I sold the rest of the whole thing to him. I ended up 20 bucks from breaking even. That's pretty awesome, and that saves me a huge pile of money over buying all of those 5-lug disc brake conversion parts from the aftermarket. Okay, I've got a plan. I'm gonna make a list of my next steps. I'll start with repairing the front frame rail. Once that's repaired, I can mount the whole body up on the rotisserie, which will give me easier access to the bottom. Next is repairing the rust in the floor pan, and then finally painting the pan, the engine compartment, rear wheel wells, and the underside of the car. All right, there's a lot of work ahead, and I'm really excited about getting started on this part.